One of the most anticipated horror films of 2020 is A Quiet Place Part 2, which so many people are talking about, and it seems like it could very well meet our expectations if the trailers are to suggest anything about this movie in particular. But I want to talk about, in this last segment of the show, where is A Quiet Place Part 2? Because this is a movie that was meant to come out a lot earlier this year, and now it's been postponed for a couple of reasons. And I think the most notably is obviously the pandemic going on in our world. But I think there might be some other reasons, and I think that in this video I want to kind of just suggest that there is potential that A Quiet Place Part 2 might even be postponed even later on. So let's talk about it. So guys, if you go on the IMDb page of A Quiet Place Part 2, it's a PG-13 rating, it's an hour and 37 minutes, so it seems like this movie is definitely, it's finalized at this point. It's 100% done. Following the events at home, the Abbott family now face the terrors of the outside world. Forced to venture into the unknown, they realize the creatures that hunt by sound are not the only threats lurking behind the sand path. And obviously, guys, from the trailers, we saw that there's other humans out there that are looks like there's a lot of mystery to some of these other humans that are out there. And so this is going to kind of add some new elements, I believe, to the story, which I'm really excited about. But notice that the release date is September 4th of 2020 now, guys. Obviously, it was moved. And, I think the main reason, obviously, was that the pandemic going on. This was a movie that was originally going to come out earlier in the year, and now it got pushed back because of the pandemic. Because of course, the studios want to make sure with any of their blockbuster films that they have time for marketing, that people are actually going to the theaters. They don't just want to release these onto streaming services. At least as of yet, I don't think that we're at that point quite yet that they're ready to start just pushing them onto streaming services. But in an article that was written, guys, by Zach Sharf of IndieWire, Paramount Pictures has announced it will now open A Quiet Place Part 2 in theaters September 4th. The film will be released nationwide. So September 4th, so later on in the year, guys, which by the end of the year, man, we've got a ton of movies coming out. I mean, we can talk about, Godzilla versus Kong. You got No Time to Die, Black Widow. I mean, the slate is getting packed near the end of the year, especially in November. Paramount Pictures is delaying the upcoming release of John Krasinski's horror sequel, Quiet Place Part 2. The movie was set to begin its international rollout on March 18th, including in the United Kingdom, before a nationwide bow in the US on March 20th. Krasinski, who wrote and directed the sequel, issued a statement on social media explaining how the pandemic has made it impossible for the world to experience Quiet Place Part 2 together, which is his ultimate wish for the movie. One of the things I'm most proud of is that people have said our movie is one you have to see all together, Krasinski says. Well, due to the ever-changing circumstances of what's going on around us now is clearly not the right time to do that. As insanely excited as we all are for you to see this movie, I'm going to wait to release the film until we can all see it together. So here's to our group movie date. See you soon. Quiet Place Part 2 reunites Emily Blunt, Millicent Simmons, and Noah Jupe as members of the Abbott family who venture out away from home and link up with fellow survivors in an apocalyptic world where alien monsters hunt for prey using only sound. The original Quiet Place was a major financial success for Paramount in 2018. The horror film took in $188 million in US and just over $340 million worldwide. Box office expectations are high for Part 2, and opening the film amidst the outbreak could have greatly affected the numbers, considering theaters across Europe remain closed. And then Paramount said in a statement, after much consideration and in light of the ongoing development situation concerning the pandemic and restrictions on global travel and public gatherings, Paramount Pictures will be moving the worldwide release of A Quiet Place Part 2. Now look, guys, here's the other thing I'm going to say about this, is they've delayed it, to September. The movie's obviously done at this point. They can continue kind of working on things if they want to make it even better, and some things that they might, just kind of give it some more time before people start watching the movie. However, a lot of these movies still might be pushed back even further because of the pandemic still. I mean, it's hard to say how long this pandemic is going to be going on for and how long it's going to take people to feel comfortable going to the theaters. They want to make sure that they're going to have a lot of people going to the theaters, and could this pandemic be the reason or the swinging, tide, so to speak, that gets people to no longer go to the theaters and they just stay at home and watch these things on streaming services, and companies, that being major studios, decide to create their own streaming services that they can just release these movies onto streaming services instead of even releasing them to theaters. That's a whole nother conversation for another day. But don't be surprised if they have to push this back even further because of the pandemic, which would be really unfortunate, guys, and I hope that doesn't happen. But at this point, guys, I think that there's a couple of things that we can kind of take away from this. Number one is that the movie's pretty much done. If it's not 100% done, it's very, very close, right? And this will give them some time that they can kind of finish a few things, have a little bit more time if there's things that they want to get completely right, make sure it's totally done and ready to go. And then it also will, it gives us time to start feeling comfortable with going back to the movie theaters, which is kind of, this is like that storm that's kind of out there that is creating like some significant disruption in this industry. The movie theater industry is under incredible amounts of duress right now. And I'm hoping that the movie theater industry stays around for a long time to come, because there's nothing like going to the movie theater and watching a movie as, a group of people. But I think what this is actually going to force theaters to do is it's going to force them to actually, kind of do the things that we as moviegoers want. That being maybe lowering movie prices, lowering the cost of maybe, some of the concessions at the theaters, making them a little bit even more like a movie experience versus us just staying at home and waiting for these movies to come out on DVD or to come out on streaming services, because that is the way and where this entire industry is headed in the direction of. It looks like that the movie industry is going to be directly cut out of everything. Because if you think about it, if you're Disney or if you're Paramount Pictures, you're thinking to yourself, well, this might be an opportunity for us to release A Quiet Place Part 2 directly onto our own streaming service where we don't have to do any kind of revenue share with the movie theaters. Now, sure, a lot of people, they might not make as much money because it's not in theaters, but over time, they're going to make a lot more money if they just have all their subscribers on their own streaming service. And we'll have to see how the streaming wars kind of play out, because you look at Disney Plus and how many subscribers they have, and then of course there's Peacock that's going to be coming out, Quibi came out. You have all these different streaming services. I'm kind of wondering, and I'm concerned about the movie theater industry in a number of ways. But I think the movie industry, because of this pandemic, is going to force them to have to evolve and figure it out very quickly, because if they don't, there's going to be problems on the other side, in my opinion, which we don't want the movie industry to go somewhere, guys. We don't want it to go extinct, because there's nothing like going to the movie theater and experiencing it with a bunch of other people. But like I said, I would love to hear you guys' thoughts on that. And, at this point, guys, where is A Quiet Place 2? It's pretty much done at this point. It's just obviously postponed due to the pandemic, and it might be postponed even further. Who knows? Fingers crossed it doesn't, but I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts, and what are the things that you want to see most in A Quiet Place 2? How excited are you for this movie? I'm super excited about it. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, and for more A Quiet Place 2 content and videos, stay here with Zero TV.